So I hope I can give you some tips that might help you when you're carrying your kids around, when you're sitting, maybe breastfeeding or holding your child, and also if you're currently right now working on a PRI program to help out with pressure regulation. But if you're still having some trouble with pelvic floor, like if you're leaking when you cough or sneeze, maybe some tips to help you out till you work through that rehab process. If you're having trouble with stress incontinence, which is more of a pressure problem, and it's not uncommon, a lot of times if you feel a sneeze coming on or a laugh coming on, my big tip to you would be to pick a leg. When you stand on both legs, we tend to lock out our back or lock out our knee. And when we do that, your pelvis comes forward and your ribs go up. When that happens, both your breathing diaphragm and your pelvic floor on both sides will descend, and you're not going to get a lot of external support. When your pelvis comes forward and your ribs go down and both of the breathing and the pelvic floor go down, now you're not putting any pressure on your bladder to help prevent it from leaking when you cough or sneeze. Conversely, if you pick a leg, love it if you could do your left leg, but that may be a little harder for you. But if you feel a cough or a sneeze coming on and you can pull this hip back, you are going to now allow your pelvic floor on the left side to come up. Your ribs will be down to allow your breathing diaphragm to dome up, which helps you to compress on the left side to help hold up the bladder when you cough or sneeze so you don't leak. This will be a lot easier for the majority of you when you're on your right leg, because we're more natural of getting on our right leg and pulling this right hip back and pulling your right ribs down. So your breathing diaphragm, your pelvic diaphragm more naturally will go up on the right side compared to that of the left side. So if you feel a cough or sneeze coming on, my tip to you would be to pick a leg. It may not be perfect, but I think it's going to be better than standing on both legs. And the goal would be that you can regulate it when you cough or sneeze and not leak on both legs, left and right. That would be the end game, and that would be the goal. Here's one tip for you, and two more are coming. Hey moms, I talked to you in my recent video about my top 3 tips. My last tip I talked to you about picking a leg to help out with leaking when you cough or sneeze. The second one is about holding your child, and I know this is a pillow, it's not a child. But most commonly, whether we're left or right-handed, we are more naturally going to stand on our right leg. Our right pelvis is going to go back compared to that of the left. And my right shoulder gets below my left, where I have abdominal support, hip support, and I'm more comfortable holding my baby or my toddler over here on my right cheek. And what I want you guys to do is we got to get good at doing this on both sides. You don't want it to be repetitive just on your right side. You wouldn't go out and run a marathon or walk just on your right leg. You would use 2, right? So we want you to pick, we want you to have 2 sides. No, you have 2 sides. So occasionally we want you to stand and put weight on your left leg. When you put weight on your left leg, this will not be as natural for you. You want to think about doing a little bit of a turn or a twist. That doesn't sound good to say that, but we want your left hip to get behind your right. So the seam of your pants is going over your left leg. Because a lot of times people will get on their left leg and this is coming forward. Their pelvis is still oriented over to the right. We want you to come over here. We want you to orient your pelvis to the left or pull this left hip back. Feel your left heel on the ground. Feel your left arch. I'm just trying to give you some references to know you have your pelvis in the right position. And if you drop your left shoulder a little bit below your right, you're going to help to engage your core on the left side. And that would be a good position to occasionally hold your child. It would be awkward, but it would be good for you so you can get balance in your body. Because you don't want to have your teeter-totter tip to the right all the time. You want your teeter-totter to also tip to the left so you can balance out the left and the right side of your body. So, do this and use your right arm some throughout the day. I hope the tip helps. Hey, I'm back with our third tip. A common thing I get from some of my nursing moms is they sometimes experience back pain. when they're nursing or holding their child. And did you guys know that the majority of our furniture in our country is made for people who are 5'8"? So some furniture is entirely too big for people that are under 5'8", and will put you in a more biomechanical disadvantage of supporting yourself with your core and to overwork your back. And so I'm going to give you some tips today to maybe think about when you're breastfeeding or when you're rocking your child or holding them or reading them a book that may help you to kind of balance out both sides of your body. When you sit in a chair, you guys, in an ideal world, we would sit back in a chair and we would want you to reference the area below your brow line. So you would sit back and you can feel your low back against the chair. A lot of times when people sit, their pelvis comes forward and their mid-back goes back. And in this position, you have hip flexors that attach to both sides of your lower lumbar spine. It's going to pull your spine forward, and that can create low back tension. And so when you sit like this with your shoulders behind your hip, that's going to create some back pain. So if your chair is too deep, which it might be for some of you petite people, you might need to take a pillow and place it here so the chair isn't as deep. So you can place it back here and scooch your bottom back so you can feel your low back. That would be one tip that I would give you, would be to make sure you feel your low back, not mid back up, your low back on the back of your car or the back of your chair at home. Tip number 2 is some of you guys bite too. I'm 5'8", so my knee is level with my hip. But some of you guys, when your knees go below your hip, your pelvis is going to fall forward, and that'll also put pressure on your back. And that'll also not help your pelvic floor to be in a good position either. So you might need to take a hard-covered book, and this is easier said than done, I know. But if you're nursing for an extended period of time, it just makes it more comfortable for you. So if you can put a block underneath your feet, do you guys see here how my knee is slightly higher than my hip? You don't want to make the big block so big that your knee goes way high and now you're rolling back on your tailbone, because you're not going to like that either. So we want your knee just slightly higher than your hip. Feeling a low back, look how my ribs go down. Now I'm engaging my core. And so when you get in this position, and you're breastfeeding or holding baby, I would encourage you. I think a lot of you are probably going to be a lot more comfortable of going over to the right breastfeeding, because we are a lot stronger with our core on the right side because of how we're created inside of us, asymmetrically, by the way. So you're going to be a lot more comfortable on the right side with your right shoulder below the left. I would encourage you to take baby and put baby over here and drop your left shoulder or drop your left ribs and come over here. Knees are higher than the hip, feel my low back, and breastfeeding on the left side to make it more comfortable for your back. Because if your ribs are up and you're over here, you're going to feel left low back pain, or it can create left SI pain. I hope those tips help. Have a great day.